as I'll ever be.
Welcome to Week and Geek, your new comics preview for April 2nd. I'm Mike Ortiz.
And I'm Chris Brown.
What you got?
Well, I'm going to kick off here with this is something I like when they do the original graphic novels.
Mm-hmm.
The term graphic novel has sort of started to take the form of just anything that's collected. It's easier to put on a movie from the original graphic, from the graphic novel, when it's just a collection of stories.
Yeah.
What an original graphic novel is you pick up a nice big book, and it's the first time it's ever appeared this way. It's not a collection of stories that appear elsewhere. This is The Amazing Spider-Man and Family Business by Mark Waid, James Robinson, Gabriel Dell'Otto, and Werther Dell'Edera. Or Deladira. I'm sure I butchered that. So it looks like it's a Kingpin story. Comes in a nice hardcover here. I'm looking forward to this one. This one should be pretty cool. I haven't been able to read any Amazing Spider-Man in a while.
I know.
Can always trust that you're getting the real deal when it's one of these original graphic novels.
Yes.
So there'll be no Doc Ock here.
Yeah, this will be
it's Peter Parker story.
It's not necessarily out of continuity. It's probably an in continuity story. It's just not necessarily set with what's going on in the regular book. So this might have been before Superior Spider-Man. It might be after. You don't know. But
the Kingpin's wearing a sweet Hawaiian shirt.
He is wearing a nice Hawaiian shirt. And it's kind of interesting to see the Kingpin as a Spider-Man villain again after being a Daredevil villain for so long.
It's kind of nice to have him back. I kind of like that. I'm looking forward to that story.
Figure there's enough of him to go around.
Indeed. Next, we've got Loki, Agent of Asgard, issue number 3. I've liked this story so far. The last one had him on kind of a speed dating adventure in which he was trying to find someone who was hiding here on Earth. It was kind of fun. I enjoyed it. He ends up meeting a girl that he sort of entrusts. She can tell when people are lying. So he lays it online, tells her what's going on, and it looks like they just added a new character to what they're doing here. I like the book. Obviously it's Teen Beat Loki. For the new set for those who enjoyed the movie, but it's still really kind of a fun Loki. He's still messing around and he's up to no good. He just doesn't look as evil, so they don't make him as evil. He doesn't have the big nasty hook nose and any of that. So next up, I've got Magneto number 2. This is, it's got a really cool cover. You got a Sentinel in the background, and Magneto seems to be dismantling it and creating himself a chair. Just a really neat looking image.
Kind of with this bald Magneto is kind of a little too Professor X almost, which I know is intentional, but it's just kind of a strange way to take it. When I first saw that cover, I thought it was Professor X coming back.
Yeah, it does look kind of strange. He's wearing the coat and everything. He's looking very, very Professor X. I didn't love the first issue. I kind of didn't get it. It wasn't any Magneto I'd ever really read before. Not that I've been reading a lot of X-Men lately, so I'm sure this is closer to what he is currently. But yeah, he's bald. He's different. I wasn't sure what to make of it, but I do like Cullen Bunn's writing, and I want to I want to at least give this one a chance. The artwork looks pretty nice. Looks like it's pretty cool stuff. Just want to see what they're going to do with it and where they're taking Magneto. Next up, here's a book that really had me fired up at the end of that second issue. We've got She-Hulk. Jennifer Walters is doing the lawyer thing. She's doing the She-Hulk thing. And, in the first issue, she gets fired from her firm because she's not bringing in enough superhero clientele. She ends up solving a problem for a supervillain's widow. Last issue, she's doing some things, and at the end, she's confronted with Kristoff. Son of Dr. Doom is now getting into the fray and wants her to take on some kind of a case. And you got Doom on the cover there. Yeah. I love Kristoff stories. When I was a little kid, there was like a 12-year-old Doom. That was awesome. I was all about that, and so I still have that soft spot for Kristoff as a character.
He is a good character.
Next, we're going to jump over to something. We've got this is Caliban by Garth Ennis. This is an Avatar book. This looks like a sci-fi story, something kind of different. I want to give it a try. When it starts to get too gross and too much, I'm sure I'll jump out, as I often have with a lot of these Garth Ennis stories. I loved Preacher when I was in college. I wonder if I'd have read Crossed longer were I in college.
Yeah.
Or if I'd have read some of these other things longer. The Boys. Would I have finished The Boys if I was around that time? Maybe. I'm going to try this as a sci-fi story. We got a guy who looks like he's trapped inside of gets caught inside of a wall, and that's a little gruesome, but nothing too bad yet. Nothing as bad as Crossed, where, I can't, my sensibilities can't handle that anymore.
Yeah, that's a rough book.
Not that there's anything wrong with it. There's lots of people who like it, and get down with your bad self is just too much for
I'm
me.
just a sissy man.
Yeah, me too. Next, here's a book from Boom Studios. I don't know anything about the writer. I don't know anything about the artist. It's called Dead Letters. The art looks pretty cool.
Yeah, beautiful art.
I liked it when I flipped through it. I took a peek and thought, all right, I'll give it a try. I don't really know what's going on. It looks like some kind of a crime story. But I want to give it a shot. Something from a publisher that I like. Every once in a while they throw something out.
You've been getting a lot of Boom lately.
I have. I like the Midas Flesh and also this one that I've got in front of me now, Revelations, which is reprints of the Dark Horse stuff all those years ago. But still a really, really nice presentation here. A cool book that I don't remember having finished all those years ago. As I mentioned, I had an ash can that I got from a Wizard World convention. I barely remember the first issue coming out, but apparently it did all come out. This is a murder happens at the Vatican. There's a backstory with a detective, essentially, who is friends with a priest who's there in the Catholic Church. And things are going on. One went one way and became the priest. The other one became the detective. He's got some things against the church, and he's trying to solve a murder in the process.
Cool.
Beautiful artwork here as well by Humberto Ramos. Really, really cool stuff. Now we're jumping into, we've got an image number 1 here. This is The Field. This is, who's the writer on this? This is Simon Roy. I'm trying to think what else, it's illustrated by Simon Roy, written and lettered by Ed Brisson. So this is the guy that did Sheltered, which is that, post-apocalyptic thing or pre-apocalyptic thing with the kids who take out their parents. And this is a guy wakes up in a field, finds a cell phone, something weird's going on. I like the artwork. It looks pretty cool. As I said, at first there was something that I just wasn't sure about with Shelter, but I just kept reading it. And that's the sign of a good writer. Yeah. And so I wanted to give this guy a try and see what's going on. Usually can't go wrong with those image number 1s. You know what? Yeah, if you don't like it and you stop reading it, it'll end up being a TV show announcement, and you sell it for more money on eBay eventually. Next I've got, this is, I want to jump around here because I didn't really want to. I overlooked Black Widow in my stack. Usually I lump my Marvels together. This is a book that's been pretty cool. I like this. It's Black Widow on individual spy missions. I think in the last issue she did do something for S.H.I.E.L.D. That's right. There's this weird kind of religious zealot that's blowing up embassies and targeting people. And so Black Widow is now after him. And there's he seems to be a pretty bad man. She's on the hunt. This is the first story arc really that we've gotten. It's been mostly one-shots thus far, and this is the second part of that storyline. Really, really cool. I dig it. I dig the artwork. I'm liking a Black Widow book, and I hope it sticks this time, because the last time around I liked it too, and it went like 8 issues. I was bummed out. Yeah,
they can't seem to keep that book going,
which is unfortunate. But this one seems to be going well, so let's not jinx it.
This is also the first time there's been a movie Black Widow that's been very popular. So
that is true.
It certainly helped Hawkeye.
Next, I've got Archer and Armstrong. This is a fun book. I have just kind of started to get caught up recently. I kind of had to jump around, but it looks like Bloodshot is in this, and they're getting ready to introduce Rye. So they're doing a good job of blending their universe here. It looks like we got Archer and Armstrong on a mission with Hardcore and Bloodshot. And yeah, I need to get caught up on some of that stuff. I'm caught up on my Axel Manowar, but that seems like that's the core title, that everything's kind of revolving on that, and falling behind on everything else. But I do really enjoy my Valiant titles. Next, I've got, this is issue number 30 of Swamp Thing. This is the second of our Charles Soule books for the week. You always got lots of Soule each and every week. This is part 2 of 3, The Gift of the Serene. Swamp Thing's been kidnapped. This group of people that were essentially assigned, almost like a Knights Templar kind of thing, assigned to protect the Swamp Thing, have actually kidnapped him. He's released a bunch of the old Swamp Things who were in the green, that were overlooking everything. He released them, and now they're in human form. So they're kind of trying to figure out what's going on in the world. And when they duck off for a minute, this group is not exactly who they seem to be, and they kidnap him, and they have now taken Alex Holland somewhere. This, each and every month with this Swamp Thing book, he sort of weaves like a larger tale in with shorter tales. It's just really fun comic books. How it is that Charles Soule can write so many different things so differently is beyond me, but he's a very, very talented writer, and it shows in a book like this, in this Swamp Thing. It's a thing that I really wanted to love when they brought it back in the New 52, and it didn't catch me right. And then he's managed to come in and use all the things that he needed to from the previous story and breathe some new life into it, at least for me. And I'm really digging it. So if you're not, you should go back and check out Charles Soule's Swamp Thing from the beginning. It's been some great stuff.
Awesome. I'm going to start off with Action Comics number 30. This is Greg Pak and Aaron Cooter again. This is continuing the storyline they had. Superman basically inadvertently unleashed some monsters from not the center of the earth, but from under the earth. Okay. Because they were these cute little creatures that were being used by this underground civilization, and their life force was being robbed from them. And so Superman frees them, brings them up to the surface. Once they hit the surface, they turn into monsters and start destroying things. So this whole storyline's been a lot of back and forth with people kind of making these initial assumptions about the things that were monsters turned out to be good guys.
Okay.
And then they thought they were bad guys, but no, it looks like they were good guys, and the things that looked like they were good guys. A lot of nice stuff playing back and forth with appearances can be deceiving. Kind of clever.
Sounds like, in some ways, stealing from that episode of Teen Titans Go, in which Starfire takes Silky, which was destroying the city. It's like, but she's cute. Then they feed him, and then he destroys everything again.
But this has been really good. I mean, I'm really enjoying this. This is probably the best Superman of the New 52 so far, including Grant Morrison's, which, even though I liked a lot, just always felt a little more like Grant Morrison's Superman. This feels like Superman.
Okay, I might have to get caught up because I'm starting to get back into Superman through Superman Wonder Woman. Well, and I feel like this hasn't really been for me in the New 52.
This is also a prelude to Doomed, which is a big storyline coming with Doomsday, and it looks like this issue leads into Superman Wonder Woman. So that Superman Wonder Woman is going to be crossing over with this very soon.
Very cool.
Next up, Green Lantern number 30. This is continuing the storyline with the Green Lanterns have been kind of not quite framed, but been set up to look bad, and now all of the alien races are kind of turning against them because they think the Lanterns are overstepping their bounds. It's some good sci-fi stuff. We've got the Kuns. We've got some. They had to turn to some former villains to help them out with the battle against Relic, and now those villains are kind of becoming a problem. There's a Durlin hiding on Mogo somewhere, so they have to try and find him and rehabilitate their image. But this has all just been very good stuff. I've mentioned many times. Every week there's a Green Lantern book. Every week I say, these books have been really tight, really solid since the new creative teams took over quite a while ago now. I think issue 20 was Jeff John's last issue. So for almost a year now, these guys have been building a really, really nice kind of sci-fi universe in the Green Lantern books.
Cool.
Speaking of sci-fi, we got Mark Miller and Goran Parlov doing Starlight. I've not read the first issue of this. This was actually my pick of the week when the first issue came out. Also, gorgeous artwork. I was under the impression that it was really just going to be like a Mark Miller take on Flash Gordon, but apparently it's a little bit more complex than that, a little bit more interesting. It's that's part of it. It's actually kind of like Flash Gordon is a much older man. He's back on Earth, but as often happens with retired heroes, something is bringing him out. At least that's the impression that I've got from reading stuff and from looking through here. So it's not as straightforward a Flash Gordon, but it's a little revisionist Flash Gordon, which Miller does really good. I certainly like sci-fi comics, especially when they're drawn like this, kind of a very beautiful, somewhere between Mobius and Alex Raymond in a very European style. Really, really beautiful stuff. More science fiction. Wow. We've got Guardians of the Galaxy Prelude. This is actually does not tie into the regular comic, I don't believe. I think this is just a prequel to the movie.
Correct, as far as I know.
I've read a couple of these prequel books over the years. Sometimes they're pretty good. They usually offer a little bit of backstory.
And got a little tag there, Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh, yeah. Official tie-in. But what really makes this one kind of interesting is it's written by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, who are the guys who basically created this Guardians team.
Okay.
This particular version of the Guardians, which is sort of assembling Marvel's 70s sci-fi heroes, really all spun out of the Annihilation series, so the series of series. So now Bendis is doing the book, but really the book that Abnett and Lanning were doing was a fantastic book. So it's nice to see them back on these characters, and hopefully they're going to get a little change out of this, because the movie will sort of, I'm sure this is going to sell pretty well once it's collected and all that.
Oh, sure.
So I'm curious about the movie. It's really the Marvel movie I've been looking forward to the most for quite a while. So yeah.
James Gunn's a fun director.
Yeah, and it's a neat idea. I mean, I'm looking forward to Captain America, which opens this week.
Yep.
But this is something new. This is something kind of fun. So I'm excited for it. We'll give the prequel a shot. Next up, Moon Knight #2. I really dug the first issue.
I did too.
I really liked that a lot. Much more than I thought I would. Warren Ellis is a great writer, but sometimes when he's writing superheroes, his voice isn't quite there. I've tried Moon Knight I have probably every Moon Knight issue #1 since like 1978, and only really the first time it clicked for me. But this is an interesting take.
I like it.
It's very, very different. They were looking at the multiple personalities that he had. I'm not going to spoil it in case you haven't read the first one, but Ellis has kind of an interesting take on the history of the character and his behaviors and the situations that he's been in. That when I read that, I'm like, wow, I'm surprised no one ever really thought of that before. So it looks like we're actually getting more of a traditional costume here. The last issue, we had kind of a suit. But
I liked the Man of Mystery costume.
Oh yeah. So this is very, very different from any Moon Knight you've seen before, but it is a very consistent extension of it.
Sure, absolutely.
So it's not like he threw everything out. Nope. He looked at what came before, made a connection that no one ever made, and took it the next step. Fantastic stuff. Great artwork, great cover. I've really, really been enjoying this book. Well, only one issue.
Well, right.
That issue
that
really
was pretty
stuck.
fantastic. I dug it too.
Next up, we've got Ultimate Spider-Man #200. Even though this may not be 200, this is a Marvel Math 200. We've got Brian Michael Bendis and Dave Marquez, David LaFuente, Sarah Pichelli, and Mark Brooks, and Mark Bagley. So really, this is kind of the all-stars of Ultimate Spider-Man. Coming together. I love anniversary issues. This has got a lot of Peter Parker stuff in here as Miles is kind of talking to Mary Jane and some of the people from Peter's life.
Cool.
And Gwen and Aunt May. So this is kind of a nice homage to where they've been. As next month we get an all new. Oh look here's all of the cover galleries of what they're counting. So I wonder what was left out.
They counted Ultimate 6. They count,
yeah. All right. Well, hey, even Bendis was making a joke that it's 200 or 209 or whatever. It's issue 200. They can call it whatever they want. Yeah, they're including a lot of weird stuff here. But anyway,
like that with the Simpsons. Right. So like 100 or the Simpsons is like 102 or 107.
But I've been following this book from the beginning. It's still pretty tight. Next month we get a new #1s with a third or fourth Ultimate Spider-Man #1. Good stuff. Good stuff. That's my stack.
Well, that brings me to the top of my stack. This is a book that I'm going to be bummed to see end. This is issue 8 of 8 of Trillium. This has been a really cool story. This is Jeff Lemire writing and doing the art. Mm-hmm. It's been experimental. You've had a story going on in the past and in the present, or in the future, I guess. And, on Earth and, out in space, and there's these two characters that kind of cross paths and then sort of switch lives, and really weird, cool stuff going on. You've had to flip book, you've had to flip it around and turn it to read it. It's been an amazing experience, and I've really enjoyed experiencing this book and really digging into it and having fun with it. And I'm going to be sad to see the story end. But that's what stories have to do sometimes. Mm-hmm. Not everything is an ongoing monthly kind of experience. This is he's had a story to tell, and I'd rather him end it where it needs to end than keep it going for no reason, and eventually have me freaking out from spinning books and everything else. But the 8 months we've been doing it, I've had a riot.
Very cool. My top pick is Inhuman #1. This is by our buddy Charles Soule, his third book this week, with art by Joe Madureira and Marte Gracia.
I'm looking forward to this
I was ambivalent about this book initially. Originally, Matt Fraction was going to be writing it. It was spinning out of the Inhumanity, which turned out not to be really much of an event.
At all.
The Inhumanity storyline, which spun out of Infinity. Initially, I was like, I don't know if I want to keep on this sort of ongoing thing. And then, Inhumanity, when I read it, was solid, but didn't really impress me that much. But then the Matt Fraction left the book. Charles Soule came on the book. Didn't really have much of an impact on me then because I wasn't that familiar with his work. But over the last couple of months, certainly the work he's done on Red Lanterns and all the raves that you've been throwing him on the other books.
Yeah, if I'm reading everything he's writing practically.
So I figured I got to give this a shot. He's doing a fantastic job on Red Lanterns, so I got to give the guy a shot somewhere else. I didn't pick up She-Hulk initially because I'm not as big a fan of the artist on that book. This is Joe Madureira, so this is fantastic artwork. This is spinning out of the storyline where they unleash the Terrigen bomb, and now all these people who thought they were human turn out to be descendants of the Inhumans, and now their inhuman abilities are kicking in. They're popping up in little cocoons, and there's kind of a schism in the Inhuman world. One of the Inhuman leaders from the group that split off from the main group, now he's going around trying to find these humans to build up his forces, while Medusa's trying to bring them over to her side. So we've got kind of a nice little civil
brotherhood of evil Inhumans.
Yes. So they're doing some neat stuff with this. Obviously, paralleling kind of what they've done in the mutant stuff.
Well, I think they've said that Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are Inhumans in the Avengers movie.
That would be nice.
So
they're gonna pop up in a little. Actually, they should just put cocoons around the mutants, so people who were mutants can now become Inhumans, and then Marvel can make movies out of them. But Wolverine's an Inhuman. Oh my goodness!
Who knew? People just didn't know.
He's gonna be in Avengers 3 now. But so between this being just kind of a new number one on a light week, plus I want to start checking out some more Charles Soule stuff, some great artwork, and I'll give it a shot.
I think the book's going to be fun. When he was here in late December, I asked him. I said I didn't want to pick his brain too much. I didn't want him to tell me anything that he couldn't. But I said, are we going to have? Is it all new characters and new Inhumans, or is it characters we already know? And his answer was yes. So it's a little bit of both. They're going to introduce some new things, and you're going to get the characters as well.
I like that idea.
He's building something cool, and like I said, Medusa's in there. So
and we've still got Black Bolt is missing.
Yep,
presumed dead.
I'd love to see how Charles Soule writes that character.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Just with everything he's done with Swamp Thing and the mythos there, writing a king who doesn't speak and wielding the power of that. Yeah. I'm looking forward to Charles Soule getting to play with that toy out of the toy box.
So, we'll see what he's got to do.
Dig it. With that, that is your Week in Geek.